Okay, I want you to watch this video here. This is from Gospel Tangents, and you'll kind of understand where we're coming from a little bit here. Let's check this out. I'll keep an eye on this guy. Just watch this here.
Solve, right? Food, water, sanitation.
He's a Mormon, Latter-day Saint. His dad invented the artificial diamonds.
The one other idea I just wanted to mention was you were talking about how to make oil and natural gas cleaner. Can you tell us about that briefly?
Yeah, we help the oil and gas industry through our technology really improve their productivity by a factor of about 100-fold. And that's because of our diamond technology and other spin-offs from that for steering and instrumentation. And so nowadays, drillers are able to drill down and then horizontal for miles and go through lots of formation and get all kinds of oil and natural gas. So in the United States, if we want to, we can be totally independent. In fact, we can export to others. The problem is that we think it's dirty, okay? And that's because it is dirty the way we're doing it. Right now, what we're doing is taking the natural gas and taking the oil, and we're burning it in combustion engines and in jet engines and all. Well, we're burning the carbon, right? The carbon then gets into the atmosphere, and that's a problem. Well, if instead, at the wellhead, at the sites where you're extracting it, or nearby at least, maybe you bring pipelines into a larger place, take the carbon energy and strip the hydrogen out, and use the hydrogen and put the carbon back where it came from. It's already there, right? It's not like it's something we created. The earth is full of carbon, right? Our bodies are carbon. Everything's carbon, right? The problem is, if we burn it, it goes in the atmosphere. So we need to put the carbon back. But you can strip the hydrogen, export the hydrogen. The hydrogen, when it burns, is water. And then if you do that energy locally in fuel cells, you not only get the electricity, but you get the heat, which you can use for never dump and never fill, and air conditioning and heating and hot water.
So, Carlisle, back in the late 1990s, we looked at fuel cells, and that was all abandoned because every time you stocked fuel cells, OPEC would always lower the oil prices, and that would destroy all the people's impetus to invest in that. Now, here's a couple things for Latter-day Saints, Christians, spiritual people, call yourself what you will. This guy here, his dad invented the synthetic diamond. That's his dad up there. Hall Labs out in Utah. Now, what he does, and this is what I try to tell people, and he does it a better explanation than me, he uses the scriptures, the Bible, in his case, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrines and Covenants. He also looks at the maps that Joseph Smith had of the cities of Joseph he wanted to build, and he's actually using these models to build things. His inspiration for a lot of what he does comes from the Bible, the Doctrines and Covenants, the Book of Mormon, the Book of Abraham. He calls it the Plat. This is the model for the cities that he calls New Vista. Back in the 1830s, they called it Zion. Now, you don't use that term anymore because people don't understand what that means, and they think about Zionists and Israel and stuff like that. But Mormons know what I'm talking about. It's called Zion, but he code names it New Vista. And these are the cities that Joseph, the prophet, wanted to build. And he's actually modeling after what Joseph did because Joseph was getting revelations. And he agrees with what I have said. Joseph did not understand a lot of those revelations. He did not. So where do those revelations come from? We say God, and we'll leave it at that for this discussion. But that's what I'm asking is, where does those revelations come from? Where did Joseph Smith get all this? See, Joseph Smith is dismissed by most people, but this guy is an inventor. He's a genius. He's an engineer. So he starts looking at the scriptures and he starts asking some tough questions. He said, hey, we're being given these commandments to do these things. Why don't we do them? And so he starts problem solving using the scriptures as inspirational material. And this guy's making a bundle of money and he's helping save the planet. You heard he's solved the fracking problem. People scream about how bad fracking is and how you can do it cleaner with diamond drilling technology, replenishing the carbon into rather than get into the aquifers and poisoning the water tables. You can drill it out with special tech, imaging, so you avoid the aquifer. Then you extract the carbon, out. You get the helium, you put the carbon back in. You don't destroy the landscape, you don't destroy the aquifer, and you now have this untapped resource of hydrogen. I got helium miners on the mind. Hydrogen that you can clean burn with hydrogen cells. So all hydrogen does when it burns is produces water vapor. I just want people to understand that this division between religion and science is collapsing. And people need to understand that it's collapsing. That's why you hear me come out and talk to you about this stuff all the time. I'll talk about aliens and things like that because this is what I'm talking about. It's collapsing. These mythos that people have in their minds, it's the wrong framework. You have the wrong framework ahead. And that's why people leave the church, they lose their faith, they go off, and this is what we're trying to tell you. You have to re-energize your mental framework. Okay, the framework you're working on is a very childish framework. People like him and me are telling you that the scriptures have far more than you think because you're stuck in this childish, almost primitive mentality of spirituality, and you need to wake up and see what's going on. So I challenge everyone in your spiritual awakening, your exploration, look at those spiritual truths in your life and use them to catapult you into new ideas that can solve problems. Because believe me, this world has so many problems to be solved. Like he says, you'll never run out of things to do. Okay? And that's the key. Business, everything is about solving problems. The businesses exist to solve problems. Learn to solve problems. And this is Dr. Hall, he is pulling from scriptures, Doctrines and Covenants, the Platte, the City of Joseph, the plans for the City of Independence, the plans for Kirkland, Ohio. He's drawing his inspirations from there, and what Joseph did, from these inspirations, from these divine conversations he was having. He's going into those and finding ideas that's helping him solve problems. I thought it's really fascinating. I think that's why I'm trying to share what I'm talking about here.